This is the BBC. A reminder later tonight after the news, our Wednesday film, Carry On Cruising, followed by Match of the Day, featuring highlights from today's opening game in the European Championship between Czechoslovakia and West Germany. Then, I don't know, probably a repeat of some others. Well, you know, the episode where he's got some roller skates on and being dragged behind a bus. That's always funny. And as always, we'd like you to stand for a national anthem before we turn the lights out for the night. Hi, I'm the Edkin Guy, and this is a special video edition of my recent podcast. Total Cult Zone presents Gavin Belson's Got Some Bottle as he goes to the big time.
Tonight, here in London's Royal Albert Hall, a team of 16 all-star top professional wrestlers are going to be doing battle in that ring. All the big names are here. There's Rollerball Rocco, the man they call Public Enemy #1, Johnny Saint, the world lightweight champion, even Big Daddy's here, all 24.5 stone of him, all 60 inches around the waist of him. And there's one name on the bill that is brand new, a young man who has never wrestled professionally in a ring before in his life. He's always watched wrestling from outside those ropes, but tonight he takes a step inside that ring. He's 27. He's a school teacher from Burnley in Lancashire, and for Keith Rawlingson, this is the big time.
A little something different today. I'm covering a slice of obscure media that I'm not sure many folks know about. I've been covering modern films recently. Brand spanking new films. This is neither a film, brand new, but it is spanking. And I'm joined by one of the Belsons, one that's awake.
Very true. Very true.
So, Gavin Belson, how are you doing, sir?
I'm you know what, I'm okay. I have been once again let down by my brother, but why change the habit of a lifetime?
Yes, this is part of my wrestling series. I'm not sure how long this series is going to last, but it's part of it. So I've got to ask, how did you get into it?
Yeah, I think, well, I guess I'm going to talk for him as well. We're of that age. Video.
Video.
I think
That's
a
good.
video. It's like one of those things, like someone had a video, they brought it around, you watched it, and then that was kind of it. I was into it then.
First match.
The one that I remember. So I became a fan of the Blue Blazer. That's what I remember from this. Just from this video. Like that was my guy then. Dan, who I will reveal, decided the Red Rooster was his his favorite based on this video. Pretty sure they both lost.
I'm pretty sure one of them lost.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the introduction, and then after that, it was a case of just enjoying it. This spectacle, I guess. When you're kids, it's bright colours, it's action, it's all the kind of things you like. And then obviously WWF at the time was being shown on Sky. We didn't have Sky, but a guy at my dad's work did, and he would record all the shows, and like weekly we would watch the shows. Memories of that are, I remember that Freddy's New Nightmares was like a like a Nightmare on Elm Street spin-off.
Oh, the TV show.
Yeah.
Ooh,
it was
special.
Yeah. I remember there being the end of one episode where Freddy was playing electric guitar. So there's some weird memories mixed in with all of this. And so yeah, that's the beginnings of this. And then you fall away from it for a little bit at some point. Other things take over. But kind of it was always there in the background, and then started getting more into it again, I guess. Well, like WCW being on ITV late at night and stuff. So yeah, trying to set the video for that and getting, like 45 minutes of snooker and then like 10 minutes of the wrestling or something, things like that. We did a lot of that, and it just carried on, and then and now we're at a point where we're going to shows and stuff. So it's
I
kind
thought
of come
you'd
all
have
the way
been
around.
more of a new fan. I didn't know you was into it for sort of quite a while now.
Yeah,
You're into all the
yeah.
new stuff, and I thought, no, you've probably not been watching it that long, but yeah, okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I remember buying the video for Super Brawl 2 with Flying Brian and Justin Liger, and I love that. There's an awful lot of crap on those videos. Like,
Yeah, I remember renting a lot of them from Blockbusters, and yeah, yeah.
yeah. Um, yeah, it's been in the kind of in our lives one way or another since we were young.
Cool. Ever considered having a go?
Uh, Briefly. But I'm really not built for it. Like I would snap in half. But this is a thing that Dan has been pushing for a little while. So on the podcast we had Michael Oku on, and he's been gracious enough to come on every year at this point, despite the fact he's getting more and more famous and really has no reason to have anything to do with us. But he's always been lovely. He's come on, and Dan has kept pushing. Like every time we speak to him, it's like, "Yeah, you could train us for like a brother versus brother match, couldn't you?" And it starts the conversation of like, well, like who'd be the heel, who'd be the face, and it's like, well, Dan's obviously the heel. Like that's just the way it is. So it might be something that we do at some point. It won't be any good, and I'm not sure in terms of an audience who would want to see it anyway. That and so we going to Purpose. I've become friends with one of the guys that helps run it. He does their social media side of stuff and their graphics and stuff like that. And Dan is now trying to push to be ring announcing for them.
He just wants to be doing ring announcing, not paying his dues.
He like it's the same thing. It's the same thing with this obsession he has about being on TV. He just wants to be the center of attention. And like literally today sends me a link to the fact that Bullseye's being rebooted with Freddie Flintoff, and he's like, this has got our name written all over it. I was like, neither one of us are good at darts. Like, he is better than me, but like, not to a point that we're gonna win on Bullseye.
You're supposed to have a professional and an amateur.
Well, they always have like those like they play for their local team and stuff. Like we play darts like once a year. We're not in the running. We've got that, and then I completely froze last time we were on a quiz show. So like that's gonna go well, isn't it? He can't hit anything, and I can't answer any questions.
He'll just throw a dart into Tony Green's head.
But yeah, so that was his latest thing. He wants to do ring announcing, but he also wants to fight me. I think he just wants to hit me, to be honest. So maybe one day, if there's enough, if the public wants it.
Being on TV and being a wrestling fan who wants to be a wrestler, that actually is today's show we'll be covering. Yeah, the big time. Yeah, I sent this through to you. You've done a commentary track for it, which hopefully will be on YouTube at some point.
Yes, you did.
Yeah, it helped me out to understand how you feel about
it. Well, yeah, I had a weird feeling watching it. Like it was, I don't know if I'd seen bits of it before. It was vaguely familiar, but I don't know why.
Okay, so Big Time was a TV show that was on BBC, run from 1976 to 1981. The show was considered the adult version of Jim Will Fix It at the time. Nowadays, different connotation altogether.
There is no adult version of Jim Will Fix It.
But it granted the wishes of adults who wanted to try something out they'd always wanted to do. More than a simple meet and greet, the team would take them off for a few months to train up a chosen vocation, and eventually they were given a chance to live out their dream on a legit stage. later evolve into the show Into the Deep End, which I had heard of, where the presenters would actually take on the role of the hapless trainee trying to fit into a role. And it would later be altered into Jobs for the Boys and then Jobs for the Girls.
Okay.
You might remember.
That's familiar, yeah.
Jobs for the Boys was Hale and Pace, and Jobs for the Girls was the two from Birds of a Feather.
Yeah. No, that is ringing a bell.
Mm.
Oh.
So Big Time went 3 seasons and 15 episodes. In it, they allowed ordinary folks to live up their dreams of being a comedian, a cartoonist, a racing driver, a jockey, and a singer.
A racing driver seems a bit risky.
Just a little. I'm not sure if F1.
Okay.
But maybe.
Even so.
Yeah. But singer, it was actually an achievement it genuinely accomplished. In its 3rd season, it gave the spotlight to Sheena Easton, a young girl who wanted to be a singer and who wanted to become one of the most successful British artists of the 1980s. Sure, the kids of today won't know her that well, but she's the Sabrina Carpenter of her age, I guess, with the song Sugar Walls, which is all about the vaginal walls, written by Prince. So you get the idea.
There you go. Yeah. Oh, well, I knew Sheena Easton came from some sort of TV show. I didn't realize it was this one. It doesn't really work the same in this episode.
So as well as making a person, it could also break them. I'm not talking about the episode we're covering. In the 1st season, a lady by the name of Gwen Troke won a competition called Cook of the Realm, and the show invited her on to organise a banquet for various dignitaries, including naval officers and the former Prime Minister. Like all the shows, a number of professionals were brought in to advise her on how to prepare for it and do all the meal prep and fight the big stage kind of deal. A couple of chefs, a couple of food critics, and one who was asked is everyone's favourite chef that could also be an unfortunate injury sustained during intercourse, Fanny Craddock. And in the episode, Gwen told her what the menu was for the event, and Fanny hated it. She hated all of it. Especially hated the dessert, which was coffee cream and bramble.
I mean, she might have a point.
Yeah, she said it was far too rich sounding, and what's a bramble anyway?
Quite the cook.
Yeah, so she said it was nice, but you're among the professionals now.
She's not pleasant, is she?
Yeah. She gave her a different recipe to use for the dessert, something involving pastry, fruit sorbet, and spun sugar. On the night, it was a disaster, and the mix collapsed before it could be served. The public were enraged, apparently, complaining to the station and to whoever they could contact to complain. Fucking hell, so much alliteration in this. Whomever they could contact to complain about such things using a stamp or rotary phone. The Daily Telegraph wrote, "Not since 1940 have the people of England have ridden in such unified wrath." 2 weeks after this, she was terminated from a BBC contract and never presented on the channel again.
Oh.
Later ended up as a crack addict. Died penniless, poor, homeless, and selling tricks on the street. I can confirm that all of that, some of it, or none at all of it, yeah, none of it was true.
I mean, she had the name for it.
Talking of fannies, let's get to the big time, shall we? So yeah, season 3, episode 1 of the big time revolved around Keith Rawlingson. This was broadcast 11th of June 1980, 8:10 on BBC One.
Prime time.
Yeah, big time, this one. Big time.
Very much big time.
Another series of the program which gives an amateur the chance to join the professional world of his dreams. The reporter, Paul Heine, much hilarity.
Yeah.
Keith Rawlingson is a schoolmaster in Burnley. He was always longed to be a professional wrestler. Now, the big time gives him the chance. It takes 3 months of strict training and bodybuilding, during which Keith is advised by some of the biggest names in wrestling, including Ken Morton, Big Daddy, and world lightweight champion Johnny Saint. His big moment is a match in an all-star bill at the most glamorous wrestling venue in the country, London's Royal Albert Hall. Like contributors, you got subject Keith Rawlings, Reporter Paul Heine. Experts Ken Walton, Big Daddy, and Johnny Saint. Film editor Roger Girton. And producer Esther Renson.
Yeah, I did notice that.
Yeah, because this is a spin-off of That's Life. And
It feels like it.
yeah, she presented the first 2 seasons, handed over to Paul Heine in the later ones because he also worked on That's Life. So yeah, Keith Rawlings, mild-mannered church-going school teacher with a violent side. Keith got involved with the show when he answered an advertisement asking, could you make it as a big-time wrestler? Local paper or Radio Times, maybe. I'm not sure what the advertisement was, but fair enough. He thinks he can. His experience, he's watched a load of it. And when a baddie makes a foul, he feels it.
Yeah, that was special. Yeah, they show him playing the organ, don't they? Why didn't he do something musical?
He wanted to be a wrestler. I don't know.
He did. It's fair play to him.
Yeah.
He did. He gives it a go.
I mean, he runs a wrestling club at the school he works in somehow.
Yeah,
Red flags. Red flags all over the place.
Yeah,
maybe Jim will fix it is a better option.
Well, I mean, it had a Jim will fix it feel to it because there were boys in tight pants and some of them were topless. It felt weird watching, to be honest. But he also does this thing when he talks about things. Like he is mild-mannered schoolmaster, but it's very scary at times.
Yes.
And you don't know where it's coming from, and you're like, oh, there's something not right there.
He gets hooked up with Max Crabtree. Max Crabtree is the booker of Joint Promotions. He used to be a wrestler with brothers Shirley and Brian. He was injured in a match and forced to retire, and then he moved to the backstage area. He was known for his nepotism and booking his brother on top of the company, giving bigger money to the guys who wrestled him. So, question time. How much do you think he gave to people if they took the main event spot against Big Daddy?
Is this per show?
This is per match.
Per match.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know, because what year are we in?
1980, this one.
1980. £5. I've no concept of money or figures or anything. A bit higher.
Yeah.
Oh, let's go 15.
Double that, £30.
£30. How much was Big Daddy getting?
Probably a lot more. Probably 50.
Yeah.
But yeah, you get £30 if you wrestle Big Daddy, 25 if you're on the undercard.
Oh, okay.
And just to let you know that I know wrestlers still these days still get paid 25 quid.
I was going to say, not a lot's changed, has it?
Yeah, not a lot. I mean, the most I got paid for was 40. And that was 2008. Yeah, 2008. Fucking depressing.
Yeah.
Max tells him he's got to have bottle.
Yes. Now that was one of my favourite parts because he doesn't know what bottle is, which is an incredible statement.
It's weird that you'd think that's like a general phrase, but apparently it's not. They repeat it over and over again. It's like, do you know what bottle is? No, is it some type of drink?
Yeah. Oh, it's I mean those sorts of things make it enjoyable.
Keith's introduction to the ring is against Cyanide Sid Cooper,
who was shorter than I thought.
Yeah, bit of a unit, but I think everyone back then was kind of smallish.
Yeah. Well, the fact that Keith's taller than him was really confusing, but he is solid, let's say.
Yeah. Keith is wearing his wife beater, tiny shorts, plimp soles. In the gym that has a number of wrestling posters thrown out to cover the black mold.
There is a lot of mold. There is a lot of mold. No wonder wrestlers die early. It's clearly the mold. Nothing else. It's the mold.
Yep. Cyanide Sid was known as a guy you wouldn't want to mess with in the ring, but was apparently one of the guys to go to when training people out back then.
Ah,
yeah.
That's to his credit.
The training involves a collar and elbow tie-up and 4 dropkick attempts.
Drop kick the hand.
And after this, he's bleeding from the nose and then violently sick.
Yeah. Then Max Crabtree starts slapping him on the back really hard. Get it up, son. And he's like, all right, easy. We already know he's hurt himself by landing. Don't start hitting him now as well.
Yeah, the thing here is it rings back then were like quite solid.
Yes.
Most forgiving, and this is a 12 by 12 ring, which is even worse. And they've taken the padding out. There is nothing in there. There's no give in it. There's no padding. He's hitting solid floor. At this point, I'll bring up the point of kayfabe.
Yes.
Did you notice?
Oh, a little bit, yes. I liked it. I liked that they were. It's interesting watching now because it's very much not a thing anymore. But that's a relatively recent thing, isn't it?
I don't. I mean, I always say
90s?
kayfabe was dropped when Hogan took over. Yeah, because as soon as Hogan's like,
I guess so. Yeah.
But this was 1980, and Hogan actually debuted November 17th, 1979. And if you notice in the background when Keith's talking the first time around, there's a Christmas tree in the background. So this is probably a month into Hulk Hogan existing.
Okay,
But
that's
kayfabe,
interesting.
no one's letting anyone outside know it's rigged. Especially one that's featured of a star of a TV show for the opposing TV network. At no point during this show does Keith know it's a work. He's getting absolute shit knocked out of him.
He really is. Yeah, that's something, isn't it? You think they're letting him in a little bit because he just it's killing a man.
Apparently it was 6 months, not 3 months. He got trained.
Well, he had to bulk up. And the bulking up is mainly milk based. It's very dairy heavy.
Okay, so could you tell everyone what the diet was they suggested?
Well, what I remember of it being, it's
Can you picture in your mind
they showed it. It's a lot of, I don't know, I can't remember how many. It's a lot of glasses of milk. There's a lot of eggs. It's basically it's cholesterol. It's cholesterol on a plate.
Yeah, it was. This is what they expected him to eat every day: 6 apples, 8 pints of water, 12 pints of milk, 2 cheese sandwiches, 4 plates of what looked like had 2 rounds of buttered toast with 2 wedges of cheese next to it, a plate of steak, cabbage, and carrots, 1 plate that looked like a fry up with 2 bacon, 2 sausage, 2 eggs. Then he said he'd have to have his school dinner and protein supplements as well, which included 34 vitamins a day, all provided by Bob Sweeney, the guy training him strangely.
I want to know what was in that protein supplement.
Okay, so this included instant protein, which I'm guessing is just maybe creatine, maybe, I don't know. Maybe just fat. Desiccated liver.
Oh, jeez.
Warning may cause nausea, gastrointestinal issues, liver damage, and mental decline. And a bunch of other dubious looking stuff. That was his diet every day.
Yeah, I mean it looked horrendous. But yeah, and there's and then he has to hit the gym as well.
And
the other thing.
150 pounds.
They're very particular about that. That's what you need to become a wrestler. Right?
Bench 150. That's it.
Yeah,
and do some running.
They genuinely say to become a wrestler, you have to lift 150 pounds, and then, well, we know he goes on to do the thing. So I'm not spoiling anything, but he does lift 155 because they put an extra 5 on there.
He looks so happy.
The other thing about it is it's slightly difficult to follow because obviously, like you say, it's filmed over 6 months. His hair changes back and forward. Um, he's he's got, I'd say, best wispy curly hair.
27.
Slightly, yeah, it was tough back in those days. But when his hair's short, he looks a lot better. But it just goes back and forward, and you're like, oh, I don't know where I am. Either, well, as you're watching it, you're thinking his hair's growing really quickly, um, or there's something wrong with him, and we know there's something wrong with him, but there might be multiple things by the end of the show.
Yep. Next boss fight is against his main trainer for the show, Tally Kaye, or
Yeah.
Peter Kaye.
That's the thing. Is once they start saying Peter Kay, you can't watch it.
Remember Kayfabe? Remember Kayfabe? Remember
Nice of
Big
Tally-Ho
Daddy?
too. Tally-Ho dresses up for it as well.
Yeah.
That's nice. Yeah.
Yeah, his gimmick was almost a gentleman. He's a member of the upper class. He used to have a gimmick of a fox hunter, red jacket, hat, and white trunks with braces. That's suspenders to you Yanks. Lux Cyanide, he was also a guy who wrestled mostly as a heel, but would be one you go to train with.
Makes sense. Makes sense. He's nice to him.
Yeah, he seems like. I mean, Cyanide didn't really speak, but yeah.
Doesn't say a word, does he? He just stands there. He bounces off him.
First up, he teaches him the referee's hold.
Yes.
I remember it being called that once. All the old schoolers, there's collar and elbow tie up, and the backhammer.
Yes, that was an interesting. The backhammer.
Yeah, it's another old school thing.
Yeah.
Anytime I work with the old schools, to do a backhammer. You mean a hammerlock? No, backhammer. It's kind of awkward. The place I started training was called Hammerlock. It's a hammerlock. Sorry.
Yeah.
Also, clotheslining. I'm trying to remember which side it is. British wrestling clothesline with the right, American clothesline with the left. So you may never noticed.
It's also why. I mean, is it to do with side of the road?
It's like you always work the left.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Johnny Saint pops up for a little bit.
Yeah,
Right.
with a unattractive belt.
He does have my favorite lesson of the show, and it's like my favorite part of it was like Paul Heine's talking to him and Keith, and it's like, oh, how would you train someone? Break his heart, plow him in the deck, scurf him. What do you mean?
Scurfing, that was a thing that comes up a bit, isn't it? Yeah.
Like, what do you mean scurf him? Oh, plow him in the deck, which is the even more obscure phrase. I could not find any other reference to it apart from that episode. I know what scurfing is. It's just pummeling the shit out of people, but very slyly. And the whole thing of like putting someone down to the mat and then making them die 1,000 deaths in as many minutes, and it's like, yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I mean, it was weird with him sitting right next to him. The sofa's not big enough. They are too close together. And then he says,
4-3, isn't it, on the ratio on TV? You need to have them close together.
yeah. He says, oh, can he try the belt on? Do you think he could ever get? It's like, not a chance.
Oh, next up, you have the highlight of the show for Dan.
His wife.
Yes,
Is it?
his
Yes.
wife Judy, and she wishes he wouldn't do it anymore.
Yes. She's got a haircut like a thatched roof, and some slightly rosy cheeks. It's somewhat. I mean, it's not quite a page boy haircut, but it's in that realm. Yeah, she wishes he wouldn't do it, but she wouldn't tell him not to, or something like that.
Because he just do it anyway.
Yeah.
He's a man.
Well,
Like, it's his
yeah.
way.
She knows her place at this time. That seems to be the impression. And to be fair, like we've seen those scary eyes. There's a side to him.
Definitely.
But yeah, it's nice to see her. Adding a bit of glamour to the show.
Yep. And we see Keith taking the most dreaded move of all. Which one's the most dreaded? The slam or the posting?
I'll be honest. Didn't expect the posting to be that.
You didn't know what posting was, or
Well, I thought it was going to be something else.
these are all terms that like that I take for granted because I've done it. It's like I don't know if they're insider terms, but yeah, posting was like always. It can hurt really badly if you don't do it properly, which is what Keith does. He sort of trundles into the corner at full speed, turns, and just bashes it with his back, which is like, no, don't do that. You plant your feet and make it look like you hit your back.
No, he's just.
You also put your arms out over the ropes to sort of spread. He just runs straight in with his arms crossed, and it's like, oh no,
Yeah.
and then taking the slam on the ring with no padding.
Yeah. He's definitely not wanting that. And you can understand it. That's going to hurt. But yeah, he doesn't like it. He doesn't like being upside down. It's all tough for Keith.
Yeah, I'm wondering if he ever got the conquer effect, which is what happens when your boys aren't secured and they sort of slap together as you land.
Oh, I mean, his little shorts were quite tight, so yeah, it's probably all right.
He gets to have his first challenge against Tally Ho. He's supposed to last 4 rounds. He's been training a month, and it's a legitimate fight for Keith.
I mean, Tally Ho can do what he likes, can't he?
Pretty much, he's sort of feeding him stuff, but
Yeah,
it's not a lot you can do with him.
No, he's like I said, Tally Ho is nice. He's nice to him. He could have been a lot meaner if he wanted to. Max Crabtree's there scoring him, which is
What was his first score? Was it?
was it 3?
Yeah, 3 out of 10.
Yeah. But he did see something in him. Don't know what that was. The psychopathic eyes, maybe.
The slaughter. Also get to interview Joe DeRazio here, the referee. Interesting.
Oh,
one.
yes.
Yeah. As well as a wrestling referee, he was an actor, stuntman, painter, and writer. And he would teach adults with learning difficulties how to paint and draw.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, lovely guy.
He also appears to have painted on his hair. That's incredible look.
It's the style back then, painting on your hair.
Yeah, ink.
Get to speak to Ken Walton. He kayfabes his entire way through an interview.
He does
Badly.
Yeah, but he's got teeth that flew out of the ring, and he collected them. It's a very, I mean,
Got it on his necklace.
Even if you want to get across that this is real, this is it's legitimate. They're fighting each other. Okay, yeah, you're a respected broadcaster, Ken. You can do that. You don't need to bring out a tooth and go, I collected this. That just makes you weird.
Bless him.
Great voice, though. Great voice.
Yeah. Classic voice. So we're trying to sort of the main event out for Keith here, who's going to be his opponent in the Royal Albert Hall. They chose John Naylor. Any knowledge about John Naylor at all?
I don't think so. He decides to wear trunks the same color as his skin. That was an interesting choice. From a distance, he just appears to be naked.
Yeah, not a lot to actually find about John Naylor online. There's a little bit, but not much. Chosen by Esther Ranson for the match. because
Oh,
she looked at him and thought he looked like he might be an easy option wrestler wise. Because everyone else is like Big Daddy, no. Cyanide still looks scary. Tally Ho's kind of everyone's looking like posing a certain way in the photos. John Naylor, not so much. Looks like a
I
pretty boy.
mean, yeah, he does. He's a good looking young man, isn't he?
Yeah,
Um,
nice guy.
but with a lot more experience.
Yeah, John Naylor, Golden Ace, trained at the Snake Pit Gym in Wigan.
Oh no.
Nothing tough has ever come out of Wigan, has it?
Nothing tough's come out of Wigan or that place.
Yeah, the Snake Pit Gym, home to Cole Gotch, Billy Robinson, Jack Dempsey, and the Dynamite Kid.
Never hurt anyone, those people.
Yeah, it didn't just produce pro wrestlers, it made legit champions in wrestling and shooting and hooking and actually hurting people.
Yeah.
Not someone you want to go out there and play with someone because
No.
he's not going to want it. The Snake Pit Gym was once considered the spiritual home of pro wrestling by New Japan head Tatsumi Fujinami,
Okay. Yeah.
and inspired the Tiger's Den, which was a dojo in the Tiger Mask manga series.
Ah.
A little
Okay.
bit, a little bit famous.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, style wise, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Only used to do flips and moonsaults as well,
Oh.
but mostly mat wrestling, which we'll see in a little
Yeah.
while.
Yes. Yeah.
Against Rip Rawlings, because
Yes.
they changed Keith's name to Rip. Because no, Rip, he can't be a Ripper. He can be a Rip though. No, R.I.P. Keith Rawlings.
It was. I did.
Even
When he
subtle.
starts going through some of the non-options for names, you're like, of course not. um, yeah. And then when they get to the Albert Hall, I'm gonna say security fairly lax. He just walks in and he just says, "Oh, I'm a wrestler. I'm on the show," and he just gets shown through to the dressing rooms.
So they show him the poster and they give him a special robe. Rip
They
Rawlings
do.
black. Yeah.
Silk robe, it looks like.
Yeah, lovely gift. Hmm. But we
Did
get
I let him keep it?
we'll
Was it
get to that in a bit.
soaked in his own blood?
But yeah, main event time, big event at the Royal Albert is actually quite impressive to look at. Judy, his wife, is there with some of the kids from the wrestling club, all there to cheer on their hero.
They don't need to see this.
He's third on the show, which you had an issue with.
Well, there were legitimate people before him. That was my issue with it.
Yeah, Rollerball Rocco, Johnny Saint.
Yeah, these are like the classic greats of British wrestling. On before Keith. Like, you could have, if you wanted to do that, I'm just saying sandwich him in the middle. Because then you've given the people something. Keith's come out. You give the people something. Like,
I think it's still like the old school mentality of shows because they used to have 4 matches first half, then they then have 3 matches. They obviously got the main event, the end. There's the semi-main event, which is like the last match of the first half. The first match will always be like a firework or comedy type match, get the crowd up. The third match on the first half will be like the downer match. So I think they placed it well because usually you have like the 4 matches and then you have a raffle.
yeah. So yeah, but go to
Get some
purpose.
Polaroids.
Still have a raffle.
Get some Polaroids with Keith. Keith, can you stand?
Keith, can you open your eyes? Keith?
So yeah, Rip Rawlings versus Johnny the Golden Ace Naylor with Joe Durazio as referee. How do you think it went?
As a spectacle, I wouldn't really, I mean, it's the low point of the show. Like, and when by show, I don't mean the Royal Albert Hall show. It's the low point of the actual program. Um, it doesn't go great for Keith. I'll
Not
say that.
one. Naylor grabs his leg, absolutely destroys it straight away with a calf crusher. Which do you know how they work?
It's like compressing the calf, right?
It's yeah, it's like if you're opening a door and you got the hinge is your elbow, obviously, and the doors and the wall are the bones. Now put something squishy in the middle and then close it with as much force as possible. It's either going to explode or shoot out the side. So it actually rips your muscle from your bone.
Lovely stuff.
Yeah. It's called calf slicer in jiu-jitsu. You also do it to the bicep, same sort of principle, elbow, joint, and it just rips the muscle from the bone. That's the first round. Keith survives. Round two,
Yes.
gets in a Boston grab and he submits straight away. Wise move.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not gone great for him so far, but he's still in there.
Yeah, gets to the third round. Same thing happens, gets taken down. He gets a little bit of offense, he gets a full Nelson, turns him out to a snap mouth. Naylor goes, okay, lad, that's it.
Yeah. Oh, he let him have something, I guess.
Yeah, bit of a hope spot.
Yeah. I mean, at one point Keith goes over and he lands kind of half in the ropes, which looks uncomfortable.
Yeah.
You got the we already know the ring's hard and he doesn't land well. It's
on a leg that's already dead.
Yeah.
Yeah. Naylor grabs him in another grapevine type move, cross faces him, and then the ref helps him out by putting his hand on the ropes and says, there they go now. And that's the end of the round. Keith gets to the corner, fighting for breath, can't stand up, and the match is over.
Yeah.
He's carried out of there. Judy looks on in despair.
I mean, I think for Keith, I mean, I'll give Keith a lot of credit. He tries and he stays in there until he just can't anymore. So there's a lot to be said for that. Was it wise for him? Probably not. I did think when he goes to the corner and they're trying to give him encouragement and telling him to not just let him do anything he wants to you and stuff like that. I'm like, it's not his fault. He can't stop it.
He's just too powerful. So that was it. And it sort of abruptly stops.
Yes.
And they get the credits and Keith's like, oh yeah, I really enjoyed it. Would I do it again? I don't know. All that kind of stuff.
Yeah, give me 6 months and I can see if I can walk again. But
yeah, what do you think actually happened
to Keith, or to everybody in the show?
So stories have flown around for years of what actually happened on the night. The footage on the TV show has a moment where Joe DeRazio helps Keith out by grabbing the rope for him. Well, Naylor put him in a submission move, trapping one leg, obviously the calf crusher type move. Then got him in a face bar, cross-faced him, grinding it into his face. And like the footage shows, it was across his mouth, and combined with that and the amount of pain he was in, he couldn't actually say anything. So Joe DeRazio actually said, no, the match is over.
Okay.
Called it there and then. Pretty much. Keith was taken to hospital straight afterwards with injuries. The footage of the match ending was him on the stretcher backstage, where he's been berated a little, but that's pretty much it. That he was just taken out there to the hospital. Esther Ranton found out the footage was binned, and then they refilmed the ending with Rawlings in perfect health, fresh from the hospital where he'd been for a few days. The bit where he's like, "Oh yeah, I'd do it again," and then leaving the Albert Hall by the stage door.
Right.
And Max Crabtree sort of allowed it to be shown, even though it may damage wrestling reputation to a certain extent. So yeah, Keith got sent to the hospital. with a serious injury. He was reported a few days before the airing of the show. He was still in pain from the match, which had occurred months beforehand. He
Ah.
was needed surgery to fix the problem. Never
Oh.
divulged what the actual problem was, but I'm guessing it was like the muscle got completely ripped from his bone.
Mm.
And even though he was kind of upbeat about it, he kind of enjoyed what happened. He was more upset about the fact the gown made for him on the event for the event was stolen by someone.
Oh, that's low, isn't it?
Yeah.
Um,
And then he returned to his teaching job rather than going to wrestling, despite Max Crabtree actually offering him a job in the business. Maybe as a
well,
wrestler, maybe as part of the team, but he did offer him a job.
hmm. Well, that's nice. I mean, I guess I mean, you could do something with him then, couldn't you? Like
Yeah,
he's already, he can take some abuse.
he did
Um,
all right in terms of like sticking in there, and
yeah,
the fact that he wasn't like bitter about it or angry was like,
yeah,
yeah, you took it. Okay, come back. We'll smart you up a bit.
yeah, exactly. So, I mean, you could have done that way, and then he could you could have him on shows, and he could lose and lose and lose, and it could be this is how you could build it. Like he loses, 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 and finally gets a win.
Yeah, I mean, this is how
Um,
they used to train people back in the day. Because nowadays you got so many wrestling schools out
hmm.
that you sort of learn everything before you even get into the ring. It used to be like 70s, it was like, oh, I want to be a wrestler. Okay, then come along. And they'll do like one or two things beforehand. And then you get in the ring that night and you get the shit knocked out of you. And then you go, okay, that was great. Can we do it again? And you come back
Hmm.
and come back and come back. And eventually it's like, okay, you can slam me now.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah.
It's,
Well,
it's,
it's
it's pretty much
is
how you
is
used
it?
to train.
Yeah, I mean, is it the best way? Maybe, maybe not.
I
But
don't know. I
it
mean, a lot of the
it
classic
there
wrestlers
is,
from the 70s, like, well, they're legends. It's like, yeah, that's how they learned.
and it's a way of weeding out people who don't really want it.
Mm. I
Because
want
if you
to.
don't really want it, you're not going to keep coming back.
Yeah. So, yeah, that was the story of Keith Rawlings on Big Time. And we're going to end on a happy note. This was going to be a versus Are You a Dead quick fire edition.
Okay.
The Big Time Are You a Dead?
Is Keith dead? I, he looked dead.
Okay, so I'm going to give you a name. You have to say if they're dead or not, and then you have to say when they died,
Oh,
when you think
okay.
they died. So Max Crabtree,
Oh, dead. Um, Not that long ago. Well, it's all relative, isn't it? I'm now going to say, yeah, that is quite a long time ago. I'm going to say 2005.
Max Crabtree, yes, he is dead. Born 1933, died age 90 last year.
Oh. So when I said not that long ago, I really should have stuck with that.
Yeah. Referee Joe DeRazio.
Definitely dead. He looked almost there then.
When did
When
he
was
die?
this? When was this filmed?
1980.
1981 then. No. Uh,
His hair was 22.
is that like the on the color chart or something? Um, I would say he died in 1990. I've just given him 10 years from that.
Born July 1922, died
Oh, hey.
March 2022 at 99 years old.
Bloody hell. It turns out being in wrestling is good for you, eh?
All that black mold's good for you.
He was preserved.
Okay, presenter of the Big Time, and that's life. Paul Heine.
Ah, okay. So, Paul Heine, oh, it's that time. He could have been anything from like 25 to 45. Um, I'm gonna say he's not dead. And then I was almost gonna give you a year. So that makes sense, doesn't it?
Okay, no, he's not a dead.
Yay.
He's 75 years old and married to a woman who rallies against woke culture. So he probably wishes he was.
I wish she was. I've never heard of her before, but
Send you a link. Sounds lovely.
I'm okay without it.
Cyanide Sid Cooper.
Ah. Ah. I'm gonna say yes, he's dead.
And when do you reckon he died?
2020.
You're learning.
They hung around apparently.
Yeah. Yes, he's dead. July 8th, 2021.
Uh,
Close. Very close.
that's as close as I'm gonna get.
Yeah. So I would have done Tally Ho, Peter Kay, or John
But
Naylor.
you couldn't find anything about him.
Well, I found something about Peter Kay being alive, but he doesn't talk about wrestling that much anymore. He actually refuses to talk about it, and John Naylor's couldn't track down at all.
John Naylor was a mystery.
Yeah, so no idea whether they're alive or not.
Yeah, that's a shame.
Okay, main events. Keith, Rip Rawlings.
Is he? I am going to say he is alive. He's only got the one leg now. His leg died in 1982. Yeah, he's alive, teaching still, or in the church or something. I don't know. He's dead, isn't he?
He's not a dead.
Yay!
He popped up on Facebook on a post for his church in 2022 telling the story of how he had been diagnosed with prostate cancer and been given 6 months to live in 2015. That he had made peace with God and has since seen his cancer go into remission. He has lived every day since, spreading God's love.
I mean, hopefully not with the wrestling school children.
And
But good for him.
yeah, he's good for him. Judy Rawlins.
Now, I was gonna say, until you told me that he had cancer and like was still alive and was active in the church, I was gonna say she's dead. He killed her. I'm gonna say Judy is missing. Nobody ever saw her, but there is a new flower bed in his garden that sprung up overnight.
Drum roll, please.
Oh, I can't do a drum roll. Can't do it. Ooh.
Yes, she is a dead.
Did he kill her?
No. She
okay.
died of melanoma at 60 years old in 2017. 2 years after being diagnosed, the same year Keith was with prostate cancer. It really rained shit on them that year.
It did. God preferred one of them, eh?
Yeah. They were still married at the time, and when she passed away, they had been together for 44 years.
That's nice. She got past his injury.
Just leaving that in the air for you to do the maths on 60 plus. I'll take away 44.
Oh, yes.
Married 44 years.
It's a different time, eh?
He was 4 years older than her.
Oh, yeah. That's, yeah. I mean, I told you right at the start there was something wrong with that man.
A different time completely.
Different time, still weird. There is also that thing though. God, now I'm going to go on a different tangent. But when you see these things, when you see those certain type of men where you're like something's not right about them, and there's always a younger wife because you know girls of their age would not go near them. Not saying that's what happened with Keith, and you know he's made peace with his God, but yeah, I doubt they got together and married straight away, eh?
That's the other thing. They're married at 16, so.
Hey, maybe they got married within a week of meeting. Still, I'm trying to make it better in some way.
Okay.
I hope I hope he wasn't a teacher at the school. I hope she wasn't like one of his students.
That was beyond my research.
Oh, Keith.
The amount of research I did for this just to look them up.
It's a disappointing end for Keith. I'm still not convinced about the cancer thing. at some point he would have. Maybe her cheeks weren't rosy just from whatever, being embarrassed about being on camera. I'm really disparaging a cancer survivor now. A school teacher's cancer survivor. I'm basically calling him a nonce and a wife beater with no proof. It's like you got Dan anyway, isn't it?
See, I'm just going to mute my mic for that entire section. Okay, give us your links and we can get out of here.
Yeah, Be There With Belson. Podcast out every Monday evening UK time. Be There With Belson on the socials, and There With Belson on Twitter. We're still there.
Why?
Don't know. Well, because Aaron from Z1 gets in touch with us on there, so that's pretty much it at this point. But yeah, more of this nonsense, but ramp it up because my brother is the problem child. So that's the best way of describing that.
You're saying something like that rant you went on about disparaging Keith.
Yeah. That doesn't even get close to Dan, does it? And those are on a weekly basis about various well-known celebrities. It usually starts with an intro which is defamatory in some way, and then it goes downhill from there. So yeah, if you like, I don't even know how to describe it. Chat about yeah, nonce talk. That comes up a lot. Old British nonces comes up way too often. It's very specific. I don't know what an international audience gets out of that. But yeah, that and more random things that have happened to us throughout the week. That's what you get. And hopefully you'll be amused in some way. And as you pointed out before, we rattle through topics at breakneck speed. There.
As always, my stuff, totalcockline.com. My stuff is on there. Go look at my stuff. It's lovely stuff.
It is lovely stuff. I can confirm that. And that was a much more concise way of doing that.
It's a website.